Review, Joseph Kofi Frimpong Akable. Good morning.
Hello, Mavi. Good morning.
You're good?
Not bad, not bad. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too.
Yeah, I am. I have a question for you, but I mean, if you've put it out there, why do I have to read it? So I'm going to show you something on your own Facebook page, and I'm going to, because I want feedback. So yeah, we'll put the Facebook page on the screen. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Did you find
Is
a
the internet
fixer?
better today?
Did you find a fixer?
I got multiple fixes, like people calling from all over with various systems. And so, in fact, one of them will be coming in this morning. So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's based on their advice. I guess it's better today. They gave me some new tip to use this morning. So that's what I'm using now. But they'll be coming in today, and hopefully by the weekend, they should be sorted out. I should have a very reliable internet connection.
You know, you should pay the crew, the AM show team, because we made you test your home internet.
Well, the real payment is for the services that the guys will be coming to render. I don't know whether the AM crew will be willing to support that.
You know, must you argue, must you win every argument? Must you have a point? Just say thank you, AM show.
Thank you, AM show.
I'll disown you, beer. Okay, let's do the papers. Joseph will do the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, and the Finder. I've got the Daily Graphic newspaper, the Daily Dispatch, the Business and Financial Times. Joseph, is that your car?
Say again?
Is that your car?
That's not mine, but it's one of the cars.
Okay, so you know, we have to fix everything of yours. Like, seriously. So I'll do the rest of the papers if we have time. So Joseph, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll start. So I'll just do the front pages. I'll do that of Daily Guide like you indicated.
Do you need a little time to breathe?
Yeah, I just want me too much. I'll start with the front page of Daily Guide this morning. It's a Friday. You're supposed to be kind. I'm Kofi.
I am kind. I am very loving. I'm also affy.
I know, but you're not being that this morning. Okay, so the front page of the Daily Guide, it has this story about the vetting of Agyebeng, and it says corruption will be costly, and Carcass killers remanded again. It's on the front page, and this other story about the trial of Advocacy, and it says Advocacy challenges open defense order, and no loan for free senior high school also on the front page, and Ghana Gas Board assumes office. It's another story on the front page, and I mean, for those who have followed the news reportage yesterday, Kennedy Ohine Japan, EMP for Asin Central, has been appointed as the chairman of the board of the Ghana Gas. Yeah. The Ghanaian Times now reports, at the vetting of the special prosecutor nominee, I'll be ruthless with all cases, Agyebeng pledges, and COVID-19 third wave imminent, the Ghana Health Service speaking. And fight against Galamsey, no ban on small-scale mining, go and do your work, Miracle Duka to miners. And court stops government from collecting mobile phone subscribers' personal data. It's also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. And the final one for me will be that of the Finder newspaper. The Finder newspaper reports, Agyebeng receives unanimous approval after vetting, and accept President's MMDC appointments in good faith. That is coming from Chairman Kangbiri, Chairman Kangbiri speaking there. And cocoa, highest production in history attained, over 1 million tons achieved with 10 weeks to end season. That's some good news. I mean, when the new cocoa board CEO, Joseph Edubwain, and that of the Agri Minister took over, the 1 million tons was a target they wanted to meet, and we have been told that they've not been able to just meet that, they've actually exceeded that target as well. Some other stories here. It says First Lady commissions first Atlantic Bank's visitors launch at Kolebu. It's also on the front page of the Finder Amabi.
All right, let me continue with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, obviously, the Appointments Committee's work and their endorsements, the banner headline on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Also 7.62 billion Ghana cedis for free SHS in 5 years, according to the finance minister. Finance minister was in parliament not only to answer a Blackwest question on the president, the cost of his recent travels, but there are also some crucial questions by Dr. Park and I think James Agalga on the issue of whether or not the government had taken loan to facilitate or, this is free SHS, so whether or not they had taken some form of loan to help with the free SHS policy. And the Minister of Finance responded to that. That's the angle in the Daily Graphic newspaper today. If you go to page 16, it says the government has taken no loan to specifically finance the free SHS policy, which has since its inception been financed from the ABFA and the Government of Ghana funding source. That's a direct denial or response to the questions posed. There's also a bit more to what he's had to say with a good breakdown. But there's 7 convicted of WASI malpractice. That story is also page 16 in the Daily Graphic newspaper. It says 7 persons made up of 3 students, 2 teachers, and 2 administrators have been convicted of impersonation in the 2020 West Africa Secondary School Certificate Examination by the Aguna Swedro Magistrate Court. One of them received custodial sentence. Joseph, notes this, custodial sentence, while the rest were fined. They included Georgine Danso, Desmond Odro, and David Bauer, all from 2 students of the English Yamanfo Senior High School in the Greater Accra region, who were fined 1,200 Ghana cedis each and barred from taking part in any WASI for 3 years. Others were Osman Ahmed, an administrator at the Central High School at Aguna Swedro, and Clement Safo, also a staff of the same school, both of whom were fined 1,200 Ghana cedis each, and Cedric Sefa, a champon, a teacher at Central High School, who was also fined 2,400 Ghana cedis. So a teacher at English, a man from Senior High School, Richard Nkrumah, alias Emperor, who doubles as the assistant headmaster of Central High School, was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment. And according to the story, initially they pleaded not guilty to the charges of impersonation and abetment to commit crime toward impersonation, but they were found guilty at the end of the trial and accordingly sentenced by the court on Wednesday, July 21, 2021. So before passing judgment, the magistrate, Mr. Isaac Apietu, said what the convicts did was wrong and that their conviction was to serve as a deterrent to others who might plan engaging in similar acts. I was just curious about the person who was given the custodial sentence. That's why I said Joseph noted down.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that is quite interesting. What I don't hear from the story is the charges. Did you read through that the charges that were leveled against them?
This is impersonation and abetment to commit crime. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that I guess that explains why they were given those.
We should get the full judgments. I guess that would do a better explanation beyond the newspaper reports.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so 7, but this is serious. This is very serious. Very serious to think that people, and my understanding is they may have traveled to Aguna Swedro in this case to sit the exam in the name of some other persons apart from themselves.
It's something that happens a lot. I mean, over the period, we hear WAEC arrest people all the time for such an offense. And I mean, a lot of the time, they are not matters that are followed through in terms of the prosecution bits of it. I mean, but this is just one angle of the whole exam fraud issue. There's the bit about those who have now become cartels who are involved in the sale of what students would popularly call as Apple. There are those who have sources high up. They get their papers and, I mean, they sell them all over. And these days, I mean, quite recently, WAEC did indicate that there are people who are using various websites where they are uploading things and taking monies from people and putting all of those things out there. I mean, it's a whole chain of business that seeks to help students who don't want to learn and or study and pass through
Yeah.
the appropriate means.
Absolutely. Well, the judge said this is to send a message, and I hope that anybody watching who's got intentions, or sometimes you're tempted because you're sharp and people want to contact you and make you a deal so you can sit for an exam for them. Well, be warned. You've been told. The message has been sent. In the center spread, the Chief Justice Kwesi Enim Yeboah has entreated auctioneers to be mindful that they do not have an implied authority to conclude a sale through private negotiation without recourse to the court. So we've got a law. It's the auction sales law. And according to the law, auctioneers could undertake such private sales only in cases where the vendor accepted a purchaser introduced by the auctioneer subject to the leave of the court. Very technical, isn't it? You've got to read the rest of the story to get a good understanding if this is your area of business. And then the Ghana Revenue Authority is developing a tracking system to monitor the activities of betting and media streaming platforms for the purpose of tax collection. Now, after sending that letter to the daughter of the pastor, after she got a supposed faith, now we know it's faith, dummy check of $1 million. Now we know that the GRA, Charlie, they've got a lot of powers to do many other things. So they're trying to get the betting people as well and trying to track their streaming work. There's a lot of money that they can get, you know, if they begin to be very digitalize their work as well. And it's good that they are on this move. So we wish the GRA well. If you've got tips, you can also send it to the GRA. If you know some very rich people who you think are not paying taxes, just give them a hint and let them follow up. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. Also, owing to the surge in COVID-19 cases, much of this year's Pan-African Historical Theatre Festival, that's PANAFest, and the Emancipation Day celebrations will be held virtually to prevent the spread of COVID-19. On the back page, Abu Jinapo supports farmers around Mole Park after elephants destroyed their farms. Is also another story. There's a story that's been brewing. I'm not sure I've seen it, but I spotted it somewhere about some people who had rejected some salad packages in Damongo. There's a new maternity block being constructed for the Confirmatory Teaching Hospital in Kumasi. And according to the report on the back page of the Daily Graphic, it is progressing after it's been established that an uncompleted one abandoned for 45 years had become weak. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let's do the Daily Dispatch. And on the front page of the Dispatch, Accra is one of the top 100 world's greatest places lists, according to the Time magazine. It's an insult to call Ghanaian traders opportunists. That's Guta to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bappin, and Dampare's appointment sends a good signal. This is Professor Kwesi Enin's conversation with Evans Mensah on PM Express. That's found, that story is on myjournline.com. Some papers have picked on the story because of the analysis that Professor Enin gave on the show. So that's it for the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Let's quickly look through the Daily Statesman newspaper. On the front page, Kudalo says Dampare will succeed as IGP. And I'm my own man. Special Prosecutor says he won't walk in Amiru's shoes. This is the Ghana Statistical Service urging citizens to cooperate with census enumerators. Ghana faces ban on export of fish is also another story. Accompanying it is a picture of the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Mavis Hawa Kumsin. It was surprising when Professor Samuel Kobina Enim appeared on our show and said that there are people who would tell the enumerators that they didn't want to be part of the exercise. Like, why would anybody want to say that? But apparently there are people who are bold enough to tell enumerators that they are not interested in what is happening. For as long as you're part of the country, it's your responsibility to be part of this national exercise. Let's do the Business and Financial Times on the front page. Medical drones crucial for fight against COVID-19 in Africa. That's according to the Zipline country manager. Also, IMF backs Bank of Ghana to keep policy rate tight over inflation scare. AHH sign on to Farm Access Safe Care to improve health services. You might want to find out what that is all about. GCB Bank present 14 million Ghana cedis dividend to governments. All right. Last paper is the Ghanaian Publisher, on the front page of the Ghanaian Publisher. I have Nane's support to fight corruption. Different angles of Kisi Agyebeng's answers as he was questioned yesterday before the Appointments Committee. And then BISU petitions NPP over Anas expose is one that I want to share a bit of it with you. Stories on page 2. It says, a former secretary of the Interministerial Committee on Small-Scale Mining, Charles BISU, has petitioned the ruling NPP over the Anas Anas expose that led to his exit from office. Although details of the petition is not readily available, sources say the petition, among other things, explains the circumstances leading to his recording by someone who had sought to compromise his fight against corruption. He had argued that he was set up by a team member and he had sacked for corruption. According to him, one Francis Owusu Echampong, who was introduced to him by former Science and Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng, set him up because he had refused to accede to his constant request to engage in illegal mining. So there's a quote of exactly what he said in that statement. That's included in the story in the paper. And then a bit about Mavis Kumsin, Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, says the ministry is poised to combat and eliminate the use of illegal methods for fishing. How? You have to read the rest of the story. Okay, so quite a number of stories in the newspapers. I think I said the last, but I've just noticed that I haven't gone through Republic Press. So let's quickly do Republic Press on the front page of Republic Press. I am my own man, Kisi Agyebeng declares as he rejects Amidu Big Shoes. On COVID-19, we can no longer take things for granted. This is Director of WACBIP saying, no show, Ekufuado's Eastern Regional Hospital projects abandoned a year after sword cutting. This is a story that I'll do a little bit of. And then chief vows to cane loitering girls to stop teenage pregnancy menace. That's also another story on page 8. Chief vows to cane loitering girls. Is that allowed? On page 3, though.
Definitely not.
The no-show. It says section of Ghanaians are beginning to question the trust's... okay, not sure what the word is. Of the ruling New Patriotic Party for its failure, failing to honor some of its monumental promises made in the lead-up to the 2016 and 2020 elections, respectively. It will be recalled that on the 22nd of July, 2020, the president cut sword for the commencement of construction of phase 1 of the new 600-bed Eastern Regional Hospital project, which was supposed to be completed in 36 months. Yesterday marked exactly a year since that sword cutting ceremony was held, but no foundation or single block has been laid as evidence of intention to commence work on site. So this is just a follow-up to a project that I guess there was a lot of ceremonial activities surrounding it. Paper did a follow-up and nothing, we understand, is on the ground that suggests that there is a project which will take 36 months to complete. I'm sure government will respond to this report. Just a bit about the caning, and I can't seem to find page 8 because they say the story is on page 8. Okay, let's see. It's in page 7, so maybe I can, yeah, there it is. Where's the story? Yeah, Samuel, the story is not on page 8 as advertised. So Joseph, if you have a pick, I'll take my time to look through Republic Press to see what the story of the
And I
chief.
think the story about the completion of the hospitals is a problem that cuts across the country. In fact, in terms of, it's been a little over a year since the announcement itself was made. And it was at the height of the pandemic when the nation was told that some 88 hospitals will be built across the country. Later on, the budget that came in indicated that it's now Agenda 111. I mean, 111 hospitals. But that is not what is really happening. I mean, I think for all intents and purposes, it leaves everyone with no choice but to ask questions anytime a politician makes promises. Because when a promise is that, Mama, look, in 2 days' time, I'm going to buy you a car, I don't think it means that in 2 days' time, I'm going to look for where to buy the car from. We've been told that what they are trying to do now is to try and identify land, there are issues with land, and all those things. And I'm asking the question that how did we even arrive at a quantity of 88 if we do not have lands? Because obviously, when you want to build houses, what you'll be looking for first is land. Because what if there's even no land for us to build 88 hospitals? Means the state will have to compulsory acquire certain lands. And so what it does.
Joseph, you need that person to work on that internet ASAP, because as it is, the tips they gave you, it's not working. Work for maybe some 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Yeah, I see that you're back.
I think when I'm firing, then it cuts me off.
Okay, so don't fire. Go ahead.
So as I was saying, so I'm saying that, I mean, next time when politicians make promises, we would have to, I mean, pay attention to the specific promise and ask questions, because we realize that when we take them by their word, they come and say that, oh, we didn't mean what we were saying, or there's something else that we have to do to make the promise possible. But it's very clever to say that in 1 year you will complete 88 hospitals.
Yeah. And the anniversary is here, nothing on the ground, particularly with this.
You said not a single block has been laid.
Yeah.
The last time we asked the information ministry, we were told that when they say a project has started, it doesn't mean that they are laying blocks. It means you are doing feasibility studies, you are doing this, you are awarding contracts, you are doing this, you are clearing sites, you are doing this and that. But the point really is that the completion was supposed to be, it's supposed to be a buffer when we had the COVID-19 pandemic, when we were at the height of it. It was supposed to relieve the various health facilities that we had.
Well, so 36 months, so it's been 12, right? So take 12 out of 36. You know, maybe after all the visibility and everything, all the studies is done, we would use the rest of the months to actually put up the structure. You know?
Well,
yeah. So we've got 24 months to go, isn't it?
Yeah, 24 months.
I'm looking at the projects that I worked as an ambassador. I'm still an ambassador. Hopefully we would start the next phase, which is the private sector fund that constructed the treatment and isolation center, the one in Kwabenya. And it took just a very short period to do it. I mean, it was in collaboration with the Ghana Armed Forces. So who knows? Maybe the 24 months will be, you know, hitting the ground running.
Well,
so
let's wait and see.
Don't lose hope.
It's the hope that kills sometimes. Having too much hope.
That's it. Okay, a bit of this story on page 4. Paper said it's on page 8, but you won't find it on page 8. It's on page 4. This is the chiefs and elders of Agyebeng in the eastern region are worried about the increasing rates of teenage pregnancy among the youth in the community. This development, according to the chiefs, is as a result of indiscipline among the youth and the failure of the traditional authorities within the area to institute measures to check the behavior of the youth. Speaking at this year's Ohum Festival and the installation of a new God chief in the town, the chief of Agyebeng, Berima Kwame Enim, said the rate of teenage pregnancy in the town has reached alarming proportions and need immediate intervention to stop the challenge. He said, this is a quote, as I am speaking to you, I can mention at least 8 children in this town who are pregnant and whose ages would not exceed 15, unquote. Quote again, as elders of this town, we need to act fast to avert the situation before it gets out of hand. And I am praying that whilst the elders of this town have taken their seats today, Wednesday, July 21, 2021, and by Friday, we have to take a drastic decision to set up a task force to check this matter on quotes. I'm looking at the place where they said they will whip the girls loitering. There's another quote where he says, now we have an 11-and-a-half-old girl who is pregnant. Others are 12, 13, 14, and 15. And the oldest I can say is only 16 years. In our next meeting, we will set up a task force to ensure that after 8 p.m., all children who are seen loitering in town would have to answer some questions, because in this town, there is a law that funerals must end at 6 p.m. But the neighboring towns, and this policy does not work on quotes. I think I've captured what I was looking for. It's a good thing, Joseph. It's a good thing that the chiefs are keeping their eye on this situation. You can have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds
Those people are
getting
proud,
pregnant.
actually, normally.
But here's the thing. Why is the concentration on the girls and not the people? It is an offense. An 11-year-old,
Yes,
a 12-year-old, 13, 14, 15, they can't give consent. So if you slept with a girl like that, you should be punished. The focus,
Exactly.
the girl hasn't done anything wrong. I think that's the message that we need to get.
Exactly. And I mean, at this stage, Nana should be asking those girls who defiled them and getting their names and reporting to the police to ensure that they are prosecuted. That should be the starting point, instead of Nana seeking to stop the poor girls from going around and walking around in the evening. A lot of people loiter around in the evening, sometimes not because they want to go and get defiled. I mean, unless Nana is assuming that he has reason to believe that all of that defilement happens in the evening. I mean, and so yet again, I mean, it's a patriarchal thing. It's a patriarchal thing. We're always focusing on the weaker one, who really is the victim, actually, not the predator. The predators are there. In fact, the story no aspect of the story makes reference to those who are actually defiling the children. Not even a single line.
Yeah, I agree with you. But again, maybe because it's a newspaper report, obviously they couldn't capture everything that Nana said. But we just want to draw Nana and the elders of this particular area your attention. It is a crime for any person, whether boy or man, to sleep with somebody the age that you're describing. You talk about an 11-year-old who is pregnant. Somebody defiled her, and that person should be punished. That person should be punished. And I think we need to concentrate on that fact. We need to get the fact right. She didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't matter if she was walking around after 8 p.m. It doesn't matter what she was wearing. What matters is the fact that somebody perpetrated that act, and that act is criminal. And you must find the person and send the person to the police station. So hopefully, Joseph, what we have done will also add on to what they intend doing in that area. But it's certainly good that elders of a town are keeping their eye on a situation
Absolutely
that is brewing. All right, let's spend the rest of the time that we have on myjoyonline.com. Here we go. Anti-LGBTQ plus bill. Corporate sympathizers could face 10-year jail term. Social media react. Joseph, I haven't been following the story much. What is it?
It's the draft bill, the one that is put together by Sam George and his colleagues, that seeks to criminalize advocacy for LGBT rights. I mean, so the draft bill came out yesterday, and I actually have a copy of it, and it's on social media, and people, it seeks to criminalize even persons it describes as allies, and seeks to make some changes to the Act 29, among others. And so a lot of the pro-rights groups and pro-rights individuals on social media are not very enthused about it, and they've described it in various words. They call it a hate bill, among all those things. I mean, but I think this is a bill that is very controversial, and because of the timing and where the world generally stands and shifting towards on some of these issues. And so I really look forward to the parliamentary debate on this particular matter. And the good thing about this bill is it's a private member's bill, so you can't pin it on government. It's a pure parliamentary business, and it also has the support of MPs on both sides. And so there are NDC members part of it, there are MPP members part of it, and so the partisan element is also out of it now. And so it becomes a pure debate on principles and whether this is good law that should be passed. And so I really look forward to the discussions in Parliament, and I hope that all the deliberations will be in a public manner the voting for the approvals and everything. It will be good to know where my MP, for instance, will be voting on this particular matter, and it will inform what I decide to do with my vote for that MP in subsequent elections. But that's why it's been trending on social media.
Okay, but here's the thing. If something is happening in Parliament and you fight on social media, you might actually not end up contributing anything to what's happening in Parliament. So people can actually send petitions and their concerns to Parliament. I think that would be more helpful.
Absolutely.
If you miss the vetting of Kissy Agyebeng, well, myjoyonline.com has done a fantastic job. For instance, it is here 6 things we learned from Kissy Agyebeng's vetting. There's a good breakdown of all the various angles. You can just catch up, but we will also have a conversation on other people's verdicts, especially those in the anti-corruption fights. Ministry of Education fights of claims. It's misapplied 19 million Ghana cedis allocated to free SHS secretariats. If you want to harvest crops, move beyond words. Manasseh to Ekufuado on press freedom. Man 51 arrested for defiling a 5-year-old girl. You see, this is what we're talking about. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's not a 5-year-old girl who did anything. In this story, we're told, was it her grandmother or her mother who had sent her to do a follow-up and on a debt issue? And then she was keeping too long. So she decided to follow up. Grandmother decides to follow up, and that's when she actually spots what was happening. This shameful 51-year-old on top of a 5-year-old. Abba. You know, that's what it should be. The focus is the 51-year-old grown man who decided to do this to a little 5-year-old. That person is the one who is supposed to be punished and shamed if indeed he's found guilty in the end. So there are plenty of stories on myjoyonline.com. Joseph, before you wrap up.
I mean, I think the Kissy Agyebeng stories too quite interesting. I watched the vetting yesterday, and I must say that I was greatly disappointed in the questions that were asked.
You were waiting for Muntaka.
Except for Muntaka, obviously. And I think Alassa Suhuyini did a fairly good job. And I mean, someone was asking, where is Damfa? Do you know where Damfa is located? I mean, why do I care about where Damfa is located?
What has that got to do with special prosecutor?
Absolutely.
But listen, I think that sometimes they also want these light moments in the interview.
It becomes a problem when the entire vetting fails to focus on areas. And I think the chunk of the vetting of a special prosecutor nominee should focus on what he's coming to do about the office. What is the new approach? What is the new strategy? How is he going to fight issues of money laundering? How is he going? All those corruption-related offenses. And I didn't think we got much. The only thing we got from him on that was to use the ANAS principle. Even that, there should have been direct questions. Are you going to be working closely with ANAS? Which other investigative journalists are you looking out working for? Are you going to be doing sting operations in public offices? Which, like, all those are. I thought I didn't get enough responses from him on the specifics of what he intends to do, rather than his past life, than the theory. And this is what embarrassed me the most. And I'm surprised Parliament did this. Parliament passes a law, the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act. They are vetting an Office of a Special Prosecutor nominee, and they are having discussions with him about lapses in the law. The law that you passed. That is embarrassing. And the guy is saying, look, you have to clean this up. You have to do this. I'm wondering why they were having that discussion. You passed the law.
Well, listen, we still have a long way to go, don't we? But Joseph, we'll have to leave it here. Let's see what happens, especially when I feel you, man. I mean, I felt the same. At some point, I stopped listening, especially when this is not the first person to occupy the office. So we actually even have somebody who's been there, and we have a lot of things that he wasn't able to do. And we were expecting a lot of follow-up questions on how we intend to fix it. I mean, as it is, we don't even have a proper structure, do we? But that is what we got. And it is too late now because he's received unanimous recommendation. We'll see what happens on the floor of Parliament itself.
Well, you'll be approved completely. I'm not surprised. I mean, it was a family and friends chat, if you listen closely. I mean, the atmosphere. The atmosphere. I mean, these are people he's taught and everything. It was a very friendly conversation they had. I mean, asked very friendly questions, laugh around and finish, and they closed and approved him unanimously. Yeah. I mean, he's very competent. I'm not rubbishing his
I
competency.
feel
18 years
you. I feel you,
at the
Joe.
bar.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of my colleagues, he taught them, and they tell me he's a brilliant criminal law lecturer. I mean, so that is certainly not in doubt. We just
Yeah.
wanted to hear more of the specifics of. And the thing about law lecturers is that, I mean, the theories are at their fingertips always.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that low point, though, Joseph Akablay, go ahead and have a fantastic week. And
Weekend.
yeah, we'll see you, God willing, on Monday. That's my
Sure.
colleague, Joseph Akablay. He's usually a court correspondent. So you see, when he's watching a vetting of a special prosecutor, he's looking for a whole lot more than family and friends. Stay with us. We've got sports coming up right after this.